Hey guys, and welcome to another podcast from the Idiots with Internet. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm here with an awesome guest, an old friend of mine, Richie Rose. He's an author and a trucker. Richie, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How you doing today?
Well, I've been writing for a super long time, and I tried to get into activism. I was at Occupy Wall Street, and it was super fun, but it wasn't good because it got co-opted by Democrats pretty much, so that was lame. But anyways, so I pay a lot of attention to politics.
Yeah.
But mostly I like to write fiction. I'm always been devoted to literary fiction, and I like writing horror the most because it's the best.
When did you start writing? Like, when did you discover, like, yeah, I have this kind of talent?
Oh, you know what it was? It was my 18th birthday, and I was super hungover. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a writer. And so, like, I just decided to be a writer, and it took, I don't know, so I've been doing it since I was, 18, so, 16 years now.
Wow. That's a long time, man. To think back, like, that's a long time. I mean,
almost like a long learning curve.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, what kind of learning curve?
Oh, because you got to start off. Like, when I started off, dude, I couldn't even, write a full sentence or, complete paragraphs. So, it was, it took me a while to figure out just, how to work with language, you know?
Yeah. What do you focus on writing about? What do you enjoy writing about?
I get stories. I get super excited about an idea, and then I'll obsess over the idea, and sooner or later it'll become a book, or I'll get an idea out of nowhere, and I'll make a book out of that one. So either sometimes think about it for a really long time, and other times it just pops in my head. So.
Yeah. Where can we find your books? Anyways, I mean, you have how many books do you have?
The links I have, they're on Amazon. I have 10 completed with one more coming out in a few months.
Nice. How long?
Then, 2 more that I'm working on. I gotta edit them. Editing takes forever. So.
Yeah. How long on average do you say does it take to make one piece of work?
Well, it takes it used to be I could do them in a month, but editing always takes longer lately. It didn't used to, but now these days editing takes longer than writing. But anyways, I don't know. I just work so much that it's hard to write so much anymore.
Well, shit, a month is that seems to me like a fucking long time.
Oh no, a month is the shortest you can write a novel. I guess some dudes can do it in 2 weeks. But I don't know who. But anyways, so it was easy. No, because dude, if I have nothing else to do, 30 days is just enough time to bang out the ones that the way I like to make them.
Yeah.
But it's super hard. It's not easy whatsoever. But they do it. Everybody tries to do it in November because it's write a novel in a month for November or whatever. They have
some weird challenge.
Call it something. Yeah, there's a challenge for I don't know what it's called. But anyways, you're supposed to write a whole novel in the month of November. But
I mean,
I've never done that, but I have done it all in a month.
How much time do you spend when you're gonna sit down and let's say you were gonna do it for a month or what back in the day when it would take you a month? I mean, how on average per day, how many hours are you putting into work?
Well, it would be you'd have to do it from when you wake up until when you pass out.
Oh wow! So I mean, the whole day is devoted to write. There's no oh, I'll work on this for 3 hours or 4 hours here. It's an all day event.
Yeah, and you got to eat 3 meals a day, and I'll take a couple days off, one here, and then anyways, and so because you know what it is, if I do 5,000 words in a day, I'll do a 22 chapter book because I have a special way I like to do them. Anyways, and so
yeah, we'll get into that later. I have some questions about your creative process, but continue.
That's cool. So yeah. Anyways, so I'll do 22 days out of a month. So actually, you end up getting I'll get 8 days off, but I'll do 5,000 words a day for 22 days.
And you're typing, or are you writing with like a pen and paper, or? Typing. What do you, like, do you have, I know that a couple people that, I know they like write a lot for work. They prefer mechanical, like keyboards. What do you think about that?
Oh, I don't know. Well, when I started, I used to write in notebooks because I was super into poetry when I started because that was all I could do. And yeah, I loved poetry for so long, but eventually I just went so heavy on the novels that I stopped writing poetry right when I got really good at it. Right, I was not very good at it for a super long time, and then I got really good at it. But then by that time, I was doing all these novels, and I stopped doing poetry. So I only have like a little bit of my good stuff.
I mean, would you ever be interested in publishing a book of poetry, like in the future?
I'd love to, but I have to have like, I don't know.
He's like, my heart is just so filled with hate, so I don't know.
Wait, say what?
I was like, I'm just like paraphrasing for you, like, basically answering the question for you, saying like, yeah, I would, but my heart is just so filled with hate lately for, all this politics and all the bullshit in the world. I'm not really in a poetic move.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like, I would like to be like, if I just lived on a beach for like a year, that would be like the best way to write poetry.
You got to be in the right headspace and also just in the right environment, right? I mean, that's kind of a big thing about creativity.
And I would have to be like not working on literature for that whole time. But I would like to take a year away from writing books and do a book of poetry in like one solid year and live on the beach because that would be dope. But
yeah,
who knows when I'll do it.
You said that you're mostly into writing like fiction.
Say what?
You're into writing fiction novels?
Yeah, I pretty much only do fiction. In the beginning, I tried to do like normal like writing, like normal people do. And I was like super not into it. And then I wrote an autobiography and like a little bit of nonfiction. And then I just totally left fiction behind. But when I was learning to do fiction, a lot of it is just like taking your like real like, life perspective and superimposing it onto a fictional story that's like totally crazy and stuff. So you take all like the ordinary, mundane details from like normal existence and then you slap them onto a supernatural story of some sort.
That's kind of interesting because that's almost the sort of the same way or method that like some comics write. Like I have a couple of stories in terms of like a stand-up comedy routine that I've sort of jotted down, and it is essentially exactly what you say. You're taking some kind of like a half truth basically, and then exaggerating the shit out of it to make it interesting, like or funny or scary or dramatic. Whatever you're aiming for.
You would be dope at stand-up comedy. Most stand-up comics are so whack.
I'm trying. I've been writing jokes for like 2 years, and I was gonna finally pull the trigger and start doing stand-up because I live right next to a city now that I'm in Sweden. But then COVID hits, and it's like, fuck me. No comedy clubs are open.
Did they speak English in Sweden?
Yeah, everybody can understand and speak Swedish. I mean, English pretty damn good. Of course they can speak and understand Swedish. But English is, it's like the second language here.
Well, because, like, some places, like, my lady tells me that in Japan, like, they're not going to, if I go to where she comes from in Japan, like, they're not going to know English,
Well, Japan's a proud country, So if you go to, like, a rural part of Japan, I mean, why, they don't have a lot of visitors or a lot of American culture there. They probably have no reason to study the American language.
Yeah.
But Sweden, we get a shit ton of tourists here, and, like, Europe communicates through English a lot of times. So like if I go to Germany as a Swedish person, I'll speak English to the German like bartender.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So how many books do you have out now?
There's 10 of them.
10? Nice. That's hella. I mean, that's. I'm just trying to think about all the hours and time it would take to make
There's
it.
3 more in the chamber. I got like 3 more complete, but they're in like processing them. Where I'm still producing them or processing them. I don't know how you publishing them,
yeah.
But it's a difficult process. So
what's your
so there's like 13, I should say.
What's your favorite piece out of the 10 so far? Like, do you read your own books like when you're bored?
Dude. Recently I started kind of looking at them once in a while, but I never used to. Up until like a couple months ago, I didn't have copies of most of them, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And so I ordered copies of all the ones I didn't have, so now I have one of each. But I'll tell you about my favorites.
So that's like buying your own book, right?
Yeah, but I get them like cheap.
Nice.
They don't cost me very much at all. Shipping costs more than the books cost.
Yeah.
But
typical.
But I'll tell you about my most favorite story.
Yeah.
It's the one I just finished.
Slap it on me.
It's called Bloodlust Paradise. And the way it started was I always wanted to do a story about a serial killer, like down in like amusement parks in Florida.
Yeah.
But the amusement park setting wasn't right because I wanted like to be at like SeaWorld, but like the whole world was like SeaWorld kind of. And I was like, well, the only way you can do that is like make the story on the ocean. And I was like, well, all right. So I wanted a serial killer book about. Well, I didn't know it was gonna be serial killers. Did I? I thought it was gonna be slasher. I was like, oh, I'm gonna write a slasher story, like freaking from the '80s movies. I'll make a slasher story, and it'll be set in like SeaWorld, but SeaWorld's the world.
Oh shit.
But like, not the like. You gotta. I mean, I'm just saying like because they're on the ocean, so like SeaWorld, like there's no other world because there's like the ocean, and it's like anyway. So it's very blue. It's kind of like a pirate. It ended up being like a pirate story because like there's like this like beautiful blue water like all the time, but then there's like all these terrible murders happening constantly, and
nice.
What is it? And what I thought would be really scary, I was like, all right, what's going to be really scary? And I was like, well, it's a slasher, so you got to have a scary slasher. And I was like, well, they did all the scary slashers. What's my scary slasher? Well, like, they're one, like, well, everybody's a serial killer. Serial killers are super scary. I was like, all right, well, what's more scarier than a serial killer? And I was like, oh, man, what about two serial killers?
The classic. The classic.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do two serial killers. All right, that's great. And I was like, wait a minute. What's more scarier than two serial killers is three serial killers. So it's like, oh, I'll have three serial killers. You know? And I was like, well, who are these dudes? And I was like, oh, they'll be brothers. So I made triplets. These three brothers, and, you know, they're psychotic murderers. They kind of get screwed over by the system, and they're like, this.
Are they identical twins?
They're triplets, identical triplets.
Oh, fuck yeah. See, now that's cool. That's a great idea. You know, like, fucking three identical people that basically swap killing people, and they always have an alibi because they can be at multiple places at one time.
It wasn't even that, though. Like, once they, like, because it was weird. They were, like, they're trying to steal money, and they're, like, so they're, like, killing everybody, and they're just taking whatever that's valuable from all these people that they're murdering. And then they use that to escape the country, and then they get away. But there's this girl, and one of the guys has a crush on the girl, even though like he's supposed to kill her, but he lets her live. And then they knew that, and he knew he's like, well, if I let her live, then she's gonna turn us all in, and we're gonna get caught. But you know, he fell in love with her, and he want to kill her, and then. So anyway, so then they go to the Bahamas, which is like the most beautiful place in the world, and then doing all right for a little while. They leave her on an island, but she gets off the island, and then she, you know, says like, "Yo, you got these serial killers over here." And so then the Bahamian police come after them, and the Bahamian police are like these big scary black dudes. So they fight all the big scary black dudes and get their Uzis. They use Uzis. And then they go and they split up. One dude just turns himself in because he knew it was his fault, and they were like, yo, this, like, because it's Quinn's just like the retard. Well, they think he's like the retard, you know.
Yeah.
They're like this, like, you know, he's our brother, but this one's fucking retarded. Like,
It's like, hey, don't you call him a retard? Only I can.
Yeah, well, they call him a faggot a lot.
Oh my god.
Oh, you're a faggot. But he's as hardcore as they are, and he turns out to be the only one that does, like, a single good thing in their life, because they're really terrible people. Like, they're the worst,
Yeah.
Because they're, like, killing everybody. But they have, like, a life amongst themselves.
That's cool. So that's your favorite, like, piece that you made so far, yeah?
Yeah. And
Nice.
it was the most recent, because I thought about that idea for, like, probably, 9 years, 8 or 9 years, I was thinking about that idea. So when I finally did it, I was like, oh my, and it came out so freaking good. I was like, oh my god, this thing is just freaking perfect. Because, like, normally I got hang-ups, like, this one will have some problems, this one will have some other problems, and I always see the flaws, but this one I'm just like, dude, I'm looking, I don't see any flaws. I'm like, I think this thing's really fucking perfect. Like, I would have to think, like, really hard to pull a flaw out of it. And I guess the one flaw that I could think of is that they probably would have caught like, before they got anywhere. I don't think that the way I had them do it, they would have got away with it. But they didn't get caught because it's a book, so they got away,
Yeah. Who is your favorite author, if any?
Well, it's got to be Michael Crichton, because he wrote Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. So what about Jurassic Park? So, like, or what about his work? Like, obviously maybe Jurassic Park isn't your favorite piece by his, but, like, what is and why do you like it?
Jurassic Park was, my mother read it to me before I knew how to read. And so it was, like, my first book that, like, I was exposed to that was, like, this is a real book. It was Jurassic Park. And then the first book I ever read when I learned how to read was The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Nice.
And I think I picked up reading really quick just so I could read that book, because she was too busy. She couldn't read me that. Or I was getting to the point where I was like, I could do it myself. I could do it. And so I learned how to read, and I read The Lost World Jurassic Park. So I'm super connected to those two books,
Yeah.
But Michael Crichton is dope. Everything else he ever did was dope. So.
What are some of? I'm not too familiar with his other work. Like.
Well, there's this movie Sphere. The movie is awful, but he did the book Sphere, and the book Sphere is just so far out of this world, and so trippy, and so bizarre, and so, like, mind-bending. Like, it will, like, bend your mind through a wormhole, and you'll come out and you'll be like, what the hell is going on, dude? That's Sphere, the book. The movie is just, don't even bother, but the book is, like, out of this world.
Nice.
And then he did some other great stuff. He did so many great books, but Sphere, next to the two Jurassic Park for obvious reasons, but
yeah,
the one that people don't know about that they should read is Sphere, because it's just so good.
Nice. I'll have to. I don't read much, but I'll do audiobooks and shit. If I can find a copy on audiobook, I'll definitely check it out.
Word.
Yeah. So, walk me through a little bit about, like, your creative process. Like, let's say it's been a year, right? And you haven't made anything, and you're like, all right, I think I'm gonna make a book. Like, where do you start, and how do you get on with that?
Well, now that I work all the time, I gotta find time to do it, and lately I haven't been doing it because I've been trying to get editing done, and editing is so time consuming, and, like, I have my job, and so I only have a little bit of free time, and so that's why the one I'm working on now is probably going to take even longer than the last one. The last one took a long time too, but I got it done. But this one, I'm making so little progress. Just like the first time in my life I ever, like, didn't make good progress. I've had a lot of good luck with making good progress until now. But I'm getting older. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking, like, old, and, like, this shit isn't going anywhere. Like, this is not taking off. It's just sucking the life out of you. So you gotta chill and just, like, don't worry about it so much anymore, because it's whatever.
Yeah, like the life of a starving artist, right?
Yeah.
Typical, good old-fashioned, old school writing.
Wait, say what?
Nothing. What were you saying?
Well, I didn't really answer your question about my process. Very good. But,
That's okay. Take your time. It's a difficult question to ask. It's not like, oh, you know, I just get high and I do the work. There's a step.
I think we were talking about it earlier, but what happened was, all right, so I started putting words together into these weird sentences and making these like page-long poems, and I was making all these different sorts of poems, and I got into poetry, and then from poetry I was like, well, I gotta write a story, and so I tried to, you know what I did? I wrote a 7-chapter novella. It was like one of the first things I did, and I was like, all right, well, I could do a 7-chapter novella, and then I started writing like short stories and like and more poetry and short stories and more poetry, and I did one of the first novels I did was the autobiographical. I was just writing about my life when like shit was going like fucking crazy, and so that was like, it started with poetry, and as I worked my way out of poetry into prose, doing this autobiographical stuff, I figured out how to make prose. I was like, all right, now I kind of see what I'm doing. Nice. And then I had collections of all the other stuff I had done and was kind of throwing together here and there. And so I have 2 of the books are just collections of all kinds of stuff. But anyways, and then I did my first novel, which was So It Ends, and then I did my second, which was So It Begins, and I slapped them together and changed the title, and now it's one book. It's called Tobias Osaze, and that was like, I was learning how to write like a full-length novel. I hadn't ever done anything longer than like a novella, and I was like, well, I gotta do a full-length novel, and it was like, oh, this is really hard. It's not easy at all, you know?
Yeah.
Totally different, totally super difficult. And then, anyways, but by the time I got through Tobias, I figured out what I was doing, and then when I was doing Osaze, it just became like this otherworldly, next level experience. I was like I came out of that first book, like, just like that story, because I was able to take that story and just throw it into like, I had realized my full potential. So over the course of this
you fool, this isn't even my true form.
Yeah. Like, over the course of this, like, 1-2 punch book of, I was like, because when I came into it, it was like, it's super long. It's probably the longest one I got, anyways, because it's 2. It's freaking 2 slapped together. So anyways, when I came into it, I didn't know what I was doing. When I came out of it, I was like, dude, I freaking nailed this. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And then from there, I just, like, you know, started going at it one after another. And just typical fiction. I mean, when you get down to it, fiction's fiction. Actually, my fiction is like off the charts.
That's why I wanted to get you on the pod, because like, I know you've been writing for a while, and I you're an old friend of mine, and I know you have an incredible mind. So I figured, why not get you on here and let's try to promote your work. You know, I mean, let's try to.
See, man, I'll tell you about that, dude, though, because like, promotion is like, if you're not like one of the chosen ones, then you're not like gonna have success in arts and entertainment. Like,
yeah.
They only look out for themselves. And
correct.
Like, if you're not one of them, it's like, don't even bother.
Yeah. So like, basically, what you mean is, it's so like, at this point, would you say like, you're not looking really, you don't write books and make books and publish books to make money, but yes, more or less to just share something with the world, you know?
Well, when I started, I thought like, you know, give it a few years and I'll break on through to the other side and everybody's gonna be super stoked. And that did not happen. But you know, cause like, dude, freaking, like, I love literature and I love novels, and like, I'm the dopest writer that fucks with novels, period. Like, you know, and like, I know, like, when I read everything, dude, because I'm in that truck nonstop, and I read every single fucking book by every single fucking author that I give a shit about. And dude, I know where my weak spots are, and I know where my strengths are, and I know when I read this book by this guy, I'm like, all right, he's really great about this, I couldn't do that. And like, then I read a different book by a different person, I'm like, well, they're really great about that, I couldn't do that. So like, you know, I know what they can do, and I know what I can do, and I'm like, well, dude, none of these people can do what I can do. So like, you know, granted, I can't do what they can do, but they can definitely not do what I can do. So do I even really care? Like,
I mean, would make like obviously maybe continue writing books, but in terms of like trying to make a career out of it, what about like becoming a writer for something like a show or I don't know.
No, it's not my thing, dude. Because I gotta see, and that's part of it. Is like I gotta stay true to the craft. Like I am
I
dedicated
respect that.
to novels and maybe poetry if I'm feeling chill for a while.
Yeah.
But mostly like I'm like a novel producing machine, like a finely honed machine.
Yes.
And like.
I mean, it takes years to get it to your skill, I imagine.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't even think about it anymore because, like, I was just kind of been on the back burner. But it's like, it's just who, dude. It's like my soul.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what's crazy too is I feel like it's a dying art. I feel like you're carrying on this dying kind of tradition because technology and computers are kind of phasing out libraries and books.
Yeah, that's a trip. I don't like to think about that. It's funny.
No, well, I think it's cool. It's like you're the last samurai. Kind of shit.
I know, but I'm super sad about how that's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what the future is going to hold in terms of literature, but I mean that.
Well, I read something. One person's thoughts about that was pretty good. What they said, I don't remember who they were, or I would say who they were, but I don't remember. And they're like, well, the one thing that's writing will always endure because book writing will always endure because books can do something that nothing else can do, and that is beautiful words. You can have more beautiful words in a book than any other thing you can possibly even conceive of.
What do you mean by that?
You cannot fill. I mean, I'm going off on my own because I don't remember what she said, but you can't fill a movie with the amount of beautiful words as a book. You cannot fill
that's
a
true.
musical record. You cannot fill a record with as many beautiful words as a book. You can't fill any space with the amount of like input from a book is higher to the 10th power to the 100th power. Like, I don't know math, but maybe to the 10th, definitely not to the 100th, obviously. But, okay, so maybe just to the 8th, or like the 6th, because I don't know how that works, because I'm super not into numbers, or I'm not good at math, but you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, words have 10 times as much stuff. I mean, books have 10 times as much stuff, and the stuff is words, but the amount of what you're getting in return is
it's like tenfold.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, tenfold. That's it. Fold is. See, I didn't have that on tap. I did not have that term available, but you made it available. So yes, books are tenfold anything else. They were like, what else could there be? But you know what else is good? Is audiobooks.
Yeah.
Audiobooks are still just books.
Yeah.
Even in podcasts. Think about podcasts. Podcasts actually does come close to books. Now that I never really thought about it until right now. But podcast probably comes close to audiobooks. But anyways, even when they do that, they gotta make a series. It's gotta be serialized.
Yeah.
But an audiobook is just super, super long, because it's as long as a book and it's an audiobook. So, but podcasts should go on forever too.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of audiobooks, I remember the first time I ever heard an audiobook. This is gonna blow your mind. I'm gonna kick you back down memory lane. It was me and you and my brother. We were at Six Flags and we had done a little bit of partying before we went in, and then we spent the day there. And we came back. I think your mom picked us up or something because my brother's car got towed. And then we listened to Harry Potter on the way home in audiobook form. I think on a fucking cassette or some shit or a CD. I don't know. Something weird.
AJ, I remember that, obviously. But how old were you then?
Young. I'd say pretty young. Probably 15 maybe.
Yeah, I don't think you talked much, dude.
No, probably not. Well, a lot of it was because, being the young guy around older people, it's like, just shut up. Don't be annoying.
No, I don't know. I'm always super annoying all the time.
Yeah, that was a fucking cool ass day. Yeah, I remember though. It was crazy. I was like, what is this? Is this an audiobook? Yeah, like, yeah. Fucking A.
That's probably the only time I ever heard Harry Potter.
Yeah. How do you deal with like writer's block, or is there like no such thing for you?
Yeah, it's just time, dude. Maybe like once or twice. I could count on like one hand the times I've had writer's block, and it was probably because I was like deathly ill or something.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. So,
it's something.
man, I got a lot of opinions about other writers, though. I got opinions about people who get writer's block. Dude.
Yeah, let's fucking hear it.
Oh my god, it's I've tuned it out so much. Like I don't even think about it anymore because I don't participate in the circles, so I don't see it. But like, I used to be frustrated to no end with other writers because you know what? One thing that really bothers me is that they're really good business people and they're really shitty writers, but because they can sell their shitty writing really good, they get popular on this fucking garbage because they have a good they're just good salesperson.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm not a business person. I'm never going to be a business person. So you want to go read all this terrible writing from these business people, have fun. Like, so I don't hang out with them anymore. But, like, that's what you see more often than not. Like, because that's what became the thing with those people. And I've never been one of those people. But I had to deal with them because I was involved in trying to do the same sort of thing, and I was like, dude, you people are not my people. Like, I've never found any people that are my people in like other writer. Actually, one chick was perfect, and she wrote books, and she was like a psychic and had visions and like was so trippy, and like her and I had like a really deep connection, like just like about like writing novels and kind of talking to each other about writing novels, and then dude, like she lived in Portland, Oregon, and I was in like South Dakota, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to Portland, Oregon, and then things went really bad in South Dakota, and I was like, well, I gotta go back to Connecticut, and I forgot about Portland, Oregon forever, and then like one day, I just happened to move to Portland because I knew that I thought it would be good as a writer, but nothing is helping. But anyways, so this chick was here, so like, I was like, dude, and we were just like, we're in the same place, like, 10 years later, and so like, we're like, let's hang out this bar, and like, this girl, I thought I would never freaking see her ever, and we're just like chilling at this bar. I'm like, this is pretty dope.
Nice.
Yeah, great little story there.
What do you like? Do you think psychedelics help in terms of creativity, in writing, or not? Like drugs in general.
Well, dude, I was high on weed for like most books, but you know what? A couple of them I wasn't. A couple of them I wrote sober, and
was there any particular reason why you did it sober, or?
It's just kind of one of those things. I don't know. I guess I had some periods of time where I know one of them. The book I wrote a book like about weed, kind of. It's like it's a horror story, but there's weed in it. And
rad. It's fucking rad.
Super sober. Huh?
I said that's rad.
Yeah. So like the one book I wrote that's like really about weed is like I was like sober when I wrote it and like not smoking weed, but everything else I was totally smoking weed this whole time, and I can't imagine having done it any other way, because like I was like, you get to live like inside of the stories, like
yeah.
When you're like high all the time, dude, I like forget about reality and I live inside these stories, dude, and then I come back to reality and dude, I get like PTSD. Like, dude, I've seen all this fucked up shit and my stories are full of all this fucked up shit, and like I'm the only one who's seen it because nobody reads it because it's super like not easy reading. It's really like heavy reading. It's like I don't fuck around. But then, so I'm like the only one who's seen all this shit.
What do you do to decompress from that?
I don't know, just try to forget about it. But, like, some of them, some of the stories are, like, so, like, hard to stomach that, like, I'll just, like, be driving and I'll be thinking about it. I'm like, dude, this is fucked up. But, like, that's writing, it's just, that's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be, in my opinion, because I have high standards, It should, like, it's good when it, like, makes you sick or it makes you, like, want to cry. Like, that's, like, the highest achievement. Like, if you could fucking make someone cry with a book, then you fucking win the game.
Yeah.
Because that's like, because nobody wants to fucking, not any dude, maybe girls don't mind, but no dude wants to be reading a book and fucking be like, dude, I'm gonna fucking cry. If you can make somebody do that, then you're like, you won.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's kind of like how I look at it in terms of comedy. It's like, the greatest feeling is to make someone laugh because it's an involuntary reaction based off of my action. They're reacting,
yeah, totally.
and it's like the greatest feeling. And then when you can do it and keep doing it, for like a 30-minute set, like, real stand-up comics do, I mean, you win. You fucking win.
Yeah, I did a little bit of it, but I couldn't remember my stuff. I never had a good memory for, like, reciting things. So I would come up with stuff, and some would be really good, some would be not so good. And, but I just couldn't remember. Oh, and you know what else, dude? The scene, hanging out with those stand-up comics was totally whack, and I did not like it.
Yeah, it is a whack-ass world. I've heard a lot of professionals say, like, it is weird and dark and dingy.
Yeah, I was, like, super not. Those people are, like, so whack. But I seen a couple dudes that were really great. So that was cool. Once in a while, you saw a dude that was, like, they were, like, coming out of Hartford. Just, like, I seen one dude from, like, Hartford over here, and then, like, a different dude from Hartford over there. And they were both, like, really great. But everybody else was just, like, no, dude.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, advice for someone who's going to get into writing and, or so maybe somebody who's struggling with their writing now? Like, do you have any advice?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that if you want to be good with words, you have to become obsessed with words. And the more obsessed with words you become, the better you can write. And I think that maybe that's just, like, for, like, if you want to do it the right way, like, maybe that's not necessary, but if you want to do it the right way and do it, like, so that it blows people's minds, you have to have an obsession for putting words together.
Yeah.
And it has to consume you, and you have to become a part of it.
Nice.
That'd be my advice.
What if somebody was experiencing writer's block? Would you tell them to shut the fuck up, stop being a pussy and write? Or, what?
I would tell you to tell them that.
Yeah. You heard it from the horse's... Oh, yeah, right here. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Anybody who's listening to this, if you're a fucking writer and you got writer's block, quit being a little bitch, being a cuck boy, little soy boy beta bitch, and just write, you pussy. Jeez.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, though.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or in terms of, like, your career or struggles or anything that you've gone through?
I can't imagine, dude. Like, you know me. I'm an open book, but, like, I don't know. I'm, like, all brain dead from working all the time and, like, not sleeping. And, but, man, there's lots of stuff to talk about. But, I don't know. A lot of it is not happy stuff. Like, we should, like, at least talk about, like, happy stuff. Because, like, there's so much unhappy stuff that it's, like, you know me, I'm always going on about unhappy stuff. Like, but, like, I'm happy to, like, be talking to you. So, like, why do I want to, like, for, like, once, one little period of time, it'd be nice to not think about unhappy things because I'm doing it all the time just because that's the way I am,
Yeah. You should work on that. You should try to be a happier person,
Well,
Rich.
I mean, I'm a pretty happy guy. I love just, good times, right? And
Well, what do you love about life? What's your favorite thing about living in this experience?
oh, you know what I love, dude, is Tai Chi, the Tao,
Yep.
Zen. That's what I love about the world. Is that there's a mysterious essence that permeates everything, and we are part of it, and you can tap into it and become one with it.
Yeah, there's various terms for this thing we're talking about. Whether it's like a flow of energy, like mana, like ki, like kai, or whatever you want to call it. Or it's like you can tap into it. Sometimes I feel it when I play guitar, and I let's say I have a couple of drinks, and again this is something for my creative process to get into this trance tapping into the energy of the world, if you want to put it that. I get maybe, I don't know, 3-4 drinks in me, nice strong stiff drinks, smoke a couple bowls, and then I will just start playing guitar, and then eventually something clicks and I'll hear something I'm playing and I'm like, ooh, that's nice. That's something I want to keep hearing. So I keep playing it, and then I extend it and sort of turn it into a song. And that feeling is like no other. When you come out of it, you're like, whew, whoa, that felt good. It's it's like waking up after a really good night's sleep, or fucking busting a nut or something. It's just like, wow, that was fucking nice.
Totally, I totally get you.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna end it here. Thanks again for dropping into the old pod. It's good talking to you, brother.
Yeah, it's great talking to you, man. Much love.
All right, buddy. Peace.
Later.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be told when the next episode is out. Peace.